All right,
Hello.
Tammy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Let's get this right straight from the start. Is it Vasquez or Vasquez?
It's technically Vasquez, but either one works.
Well, I worked with Julie Marquez or Marquez, so I know that. So I'm just going to call you Tammy. I hope that works for you.
That'll work. That works
All
perfect.
right, Tammy, we're going to just talk now. And this isn't a debate, and we just got done talking to your challenger, Charlie Justice, County Commission District 3. Okay, what put this bird in your ear that said you need to run for this position?
Well, it's definitely not really something that I've ever thought I would be doing. I've always paid attention to elections and our politicians, both federal, state, and local. But it definitely became super prevalent through the COVID pandemic that our local officials carry so much weight in the decisions that affect us within the even 12, 24, 48-hour period, more so than federal. And it just became real apparent through the COVID pandemic when everything went to Zoom. It allowed a lot more, and a lot of, our businesses were closed down, a lot of people not working. It allowed all of us to tune into the meeting where at the normal time of commissioners meetings, most of us are at work. So it
Yeah.
just, that's why, when I started watching all of that and really saw the power that they weld in our county, I started really paying attention, and I started seeing some inconsistencies and lack of representation.
So, give me more about your background. What do you have a business interest? Are you a homemaker? I mean, what, please?
Well, I'm a wife to my amazing husband, Mike Vasquez, who's a Army veteran, and
Right.
I have a wonderful stepson, and that I've been raising since he was 11. So, and we actually own Bark Life here in Seminole, and then we have a franchise location in St. Pete, and I've actually been in the pet industry my whole life.
Really?
Yes, my family was in it for over 50 years. My parents have now passed, but they actually owned Dial-A-Groom here locally since 1985.
Oh,
So
wow. Wow.
that's a little bit of my background here locally.
So again, getting back to when you decided that you were going to run, do you, or what did you do to fully understand what it is the commission does? Because I'll tell you something, and I didn't mention this to my other candidate. I wish I would have. I was in Publix a couple weeks ago where, I'm retired, but everybody still thinks I'm on the air. And for some reason, they always feel like they have to share whatever they're thinking with me. So I asked a total of 6 people, and there was a man, a woman, African American, Hispanic, a pretty good mix. I said, can you name one single Pinellas County commissioner? And you know what? Nobody could. Now,
That's not surprising.
well, I don't know. I don't know whether that's good or bad. Is that good or bad? What?
I think it's bad. It kind of lets you know the lack of the commissioners being in the community. I mean, the commissioners' real job is representing the community that they live in and that they represent. And a lot of them like to tout that, I'm in the community, and everybody knows me. But really, if they didn't go to high school with them or college with them, they really don't know them because they're not really in the community. So I consider that a bad thing. And if you could say anything good came out of COVID, and I hate to even say that,
Uh-huh.
but it was the awakening of the people of Pinellas County of, wow, I don't even know who these people are, and they have the most power in the county.
Well, and I don't mean to skew things one way or another because I know a lot of the commissioners personally per se, so I know that they are known, and they might counter argue by saying, well, that's fine because we must be doing our job then. So you mentioned COVID. What did the commission do specifically that you thought was wrong in the response to COVID-19?
Well, the single largest thing that, and I will say these aren't even my words, these are Sheriff Galtieri's words, when our businesses were closed, when the governor sent down the order and the outline to all of the counties for the local governments to define for what's right in their community, our county commission did not define it. They handed it off to Sheriff Galtieri to define it. Sheriff Galtieri said, that's not my job. You know, he's a sheriff. His job is to enforce the law, not define it.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, they did not do that. I was able to go into the order and break down the different things and show that my business actually wasn't essential. And so I was able to get my business reopened and within 2 weeks of it being closed. You know, I feel had they done their job and they had defined the order of what was right for the county, I definitely believe there would have been a lot less businesses closed. The governor states, there's videos out there of him where the governor states the only businesses that I closed were bars and gyms. The rest was left to the local county governments to define what was best for each county. So that was the biggest thing, you know, is that they did not fulfill their duties in defining the governor's order. It was, you know, we all have our different beliefs, you know. Was it because it's an election year and they didn't want to be responsible for saying they closed business? And I understand it's difficult. This was all uncharted territory,
Yeah.
but you at least have to do what your job is.
So let me ask you, and I'm not trying to stereotype one way or another. Do you wear a mask when you go out in public?
I do. If I'm inside, not outside, I do not.
Okay, outside, but I mean when you go to the grocery store, or to,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, so that stuff's all required. So okay,
And we require people in our business to wear them as well in our
yeah,
businesses.
I was going to bring my dog in here to, you know, to say hello, but I've got the green screen, and he would probably. He's a big Aussie doodle. He'd probably rip that all apart. So beyond that, I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, that the COVID thing is what drove me to run, but you do understand about all of the other areas that you're going to have to be responsible for. The council has predominantly been Democratic, as is Hillsborough is even more so. And I've asked the question of them. I say, well, do you think it's a fair representation that mostly are Democrats? And the response was, well, we're not sure why it's always Democrats, but we try to get along on a nonpartisan basis. And people generally don't make that big a deal in general elections about if you're a Democrat or Republican. But I see behind you, you are a Republican's Republican. I'm looking at all of those things. So what is a, in quotes, Republican going to bring to the commission that may not already be there?
Well, and I'll go back a little bit. I don't know if I would call myself a Republican's Republican. I'm definitely a registered Republican. I'm a fiscal conservative. There's no question about that. But in local elections, I would agree that I don't know that the R&D carries as much tout as it does in state and federal elections. You definitely have to work together. I will definitely tell you this. Being a business owner, you have to be conservative. You have to know how to do budgets. You have to learn how to work with people. I've worked with people and met their needs for, you know, well over 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I listened and because I talked to them. And, you know, even if it was something I didn't normally do, I know how to talk to people and I know how to negotiate with people. And again, I go back to the budgeting. I know how to do budgets because you don't run a successful business if you don't know how to do budgets.
Right.
And I would say, as far as the unfairness of it, as far as, you know, well, we don't know why it's more Democrat than Republican. A lot of it truly, again, like you said in the beginning, a lot of people up until now really weren't sure what commissioners did or even who they were. So they didn't really, I don't believe, put that much investment in learning about the commissioners, and they just vote for whoever's in because people by nature don't like change.
Right.
However, that would not be the case had the commission, even to this day, implemented if they would have implemented the term limits that the Pinellas County voters overwhelmingly voted for in 1996, and the commissioners have repeatedly refused to implement those. So that really wouldn't be a problem if we had those term limits.
Uh-huh. So let's go through in the last several minutes that we have here some specific topics that were brought up by the members of the chamber. So there's something called a coastal high hazard area it's a rule that would allow applicants for density increases contingent upon making some changes and making their properties more hardened and also paying more to the Hurricane Shelter Fund. Is that a good idea or not? Would you support that?
I would not completely give an answer on that unless I really looked into it. I'd want to educate myself further on
Okay.
that. Not trying to
Okay.
toss the question, but I
Well,
don't want
that's
to give an
fine.
answer on something I'm not fully educated on.
Okay. Do you support using tourist tax dollars to fund a new stadium for the Rays and the Rowdies, even if the Rays split their season with Montreal? Go Rays, by the way. I want them to win the World Series. And like,
I, I say go Rays, but I am not for that.
okay, okay, okay. Would you support a sales surtax referendum like they did in Hillsborough County, where the voters rose up and said, we're tired of the way the government is running this. We want better roads. We are going to tax ourselves. We got more than 60% of the people signed it that agreed with it. It's still stuck in the courts as to who's going to disperse it. Would you be in favor of something like that for Hillsborough County or for Pinellas County if the residents wanted that?
If there's a lot of things we can do without even putting more taxes on the table. And I know it sounds silly, but I had read an article because I've been looking a lot into this with the Dade County area, which God knows anybody who's driven down there knows what their traffic's like.
Yeah.
Something as simple as timing the lights properly can completely change the way the traffic flow is.
Mm-hmm.
Driving around town, especially being that this is a county-wide seat, and I'm sure you have through the years, you see how untimed our lights are. And that alone can be a complete game changer without raising one tax. One thing I don't believe that was the best idea is taking away a lane off of First Avenue North and First Avenue South for this rapid transit. I think Central would have been a much better solution to that than taking a lane away from First Avenue. And
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
But again, if we did all of those things without raising taxes, and we still, the people of Pinellas still said, hey, we're willing, we want even more, and they wanted to do something like that. In the end, I think you have to listen to the constituents. They're the ones who put you where you're at when you're a commissioner.
Right. No, I don't want an extended warranty for my vehicle. Thank you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Most people, they 5 times a day. I don't even own that car anymore. Anyway.
Exactly.
Hey, Tammy, it's been wonderful talking to you, and we've had a blast here. Good luck in your race. You're running for the County Commission District number 3, Tammy Vasquez, against Charlie Justice. Good luck to you. And win or lose, don't lose your taste for politics and getting involved.
Absolutely not.
I congratulate anybody who runs for an office, which is why I'm not running for one.
Thank you so much.
Tammy, thank you. Matt, let's go back to